welcome back everyone. As most of you know, the Samsung Galaxy A52 was a budget tier phone Samsung dropped early this year, and it's been about 4 months, a little bit over 4 months since this phone's been out. So let's go and take a look at it, see how it's been holding up. Now, first of all, I want to say a lot of my opinions that I had when it first came out are still relevant, I still feel like a lot with this phone is kind of, watered down with its chipset and stuff isn't that big of a deal. It's just when you have this huge operating system, that One UI is, that really bogs down the phone. Even when you have a budget tier phone like this, it really hinders the performance of what this phone can be. So even though a lot of other things about this phone are pretty good, I think the display is a big improvement from the previous generations, including that 90Hz panel. Same 1080p panel, I'm not knocking it. I think it looks fine. And I think for the whole punch display and for this being, quote unquote, like a budget tier phone, I think that's a really cool thing that this phone has going for it. And I'm actually pretty surprised how well this phone has held up and looks, for a budget tier phone. Now, USB Type-C at the bottom, micro SD card slot, great to see those things. I'm glad they have these things on here. The A51 had them too, so I doubt they were going to remove it. Now, the back, as most of you know, has that plastic back. Definitely not, a big deal considering the S series now has plastic backs as well. So it's kind of a given. I'm not really freaking out about it too much, and I think for this type of phone, it's fine, and it's been holding up very well. Now, that camera setup, on the other hand, this is the more interesting thing about it. So it's a quadruple camera setup, but really those two main lenses are the wide and ultra wide sensors. Those are the lenses you're probably going to be interacting with the most. And you can do 4K videos on the back, and you can do 4K videos on the front. They're tapped out at 4K at 30, so you cannot do anything above 4K and 30. So that's kind of a sad thing. I'm glad you can do 4K at 30 on the front though, which is really good to see. But I wish you had 4K at 60 on the back, considering the S series can do 8K. I feel like this thing could have supported it, but not really that big of a deal. Again, you kind of know what you're getting when you get a phone like this, and I think it's totally okay for the most part. Now, the battery life also, like I mentioned, is perfectly fine. It's one of its biggest advantages. 4500 mAh battery. That is a massive size battery. That's bigger than any iPhone that's ever came out, and without a doubt, it's one of my favorite features from this phone. It may not be the best defining feature to pick up this thing, but I think it's a pretty good battery life overall, and it's definitely a huge advantage of why somebody would pick up this phone. But a reason why somebody might not want to pick up this phone anymore is because of that software. The one thing is with the A series, I'm not too sure how Samsung is kind of making these software updates. I don't think they'll match the S series of that year, so I doubt this thing will last as long as the S21. But the thing is that, the software itself really isn't doing it any favors. There's a lot of features built in, I'm glad, but the stability and just a lot of things like overheating and things like that are really coming down to the software. And even 4 months in, I'm still hearing a lot of complaints about this phone, specifically in the software department. People are pretty much okay with how this phone is looking and how these, things are kind of, behaving. It really just comes down to the software aspect, and I couldn't agree more. Even with my Galaxy S21, there's a lot of times where I'm like, man, I wish this thing just had stock software. I wish I could, throw stock software on there and then move on, but that's not really the case. But I do think, if they can just fix that, then this could be a hit on their hands for sure. And that ties in very, very well with the performance factor. This thing, Qualcomm Snapdragon 720G, octa-core CPU, Adreno 618 GPU, and my model had 4 gigs of RAM, but it does go up to 8 gigs of RAM. So I think that's a pretty cool thing. And I think without a doubt, the performance aspect of this device, again, is hindered by the software, but I don't think it's like a con. I don't think it's something where I'm going to look at it and be like, oh my God, this phone has been, having a very bad performance since I first got it. That is not the case. I've done a bunch of comparisons and I'm still happy. That 90Hz refresh rate does a really good job at making the phone feel that much faster. And I think that's a really cool thing for sure. And I think without a doubt, the Samsung Galaxy A52 throughout the last couple of months owning it, I think it's a pretty good phone, and I think I'm pretty happy about it for sure. Again, it may not be perfect, but I think it's a good phone, and I think, if you're going to use it, for sure. But phones like the Samsung Galaxy S10 that you can buy in the used market for cheaper than a brand new A52, I would rather have that phone than this phone, to be honest. So again, no phone is perfect, but I would rather prefer an S10 in my opinion than an A52, but both are great, and I'm good with the A52 as well. So that's pretty much it. If you guys have any other questions or anything like that, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.